I would first request Mr. Atul Bali, GM, NSGM, who I've had the pleasure of actually working with from the start of Smart Grid days, to share some learnings from the central level as well as national thoughts. Atul ji.
Thank you, Rahul ji. Namaskar, and like that my earlier speaker told, good early evening. The flow of the presentation, I will go with that. Actually, we formulated in 2010, I think Dr. Tongia at that time was rather appointed as an advisor to the Smart Grid Task Force, as well as the Smart Grid Forum, conceptualized at that time. Now the Smart Grid Forum has been gone so rather grown leaps and bounds, and now we are having a Smart Utility Week here. The earlier Smart Grid Task Force, which was a government entity altogether and constituting their stakeholders from the government side, now turned into the National Smart Grid Mission. So now I am from the NSGM side, rather NSGM Project Management Unit. We have conceptualized at that time nearly 14 pilots, one Smart City pilot, and along with that the Smart Grid Knowledge Resource Center, which will be acting as a resource center, conceptualized that at that time and sanctioned at that time, nearly 2014. Even the NIDO was conceptualized at that time, Haryana, and earlier it used to be funded by NSGM, rather Smart Grid Task Force. NIDO came in, NIDO sponsored it, NIDO did it, and we have done nearly now 11 Smart Grid pilots which have been nearly on the verge of completion. 7 have been done, 3 or 4 are nearly at the end of it and will be completing shortly by closure by this March end, most likely. I'll be going to the brief. How much time has it been?
7 minutes.
7 minutes. Okay. The presentation flow would be like that. I would be just skipping that overview of Smart Grid, as we are all Smart Grid professionals. I would not like to dwell upon more. But definitely the Smart Grid mission, objectives, what are our achievements so far. As rightly said, we are on the rather verge of, you can say, now the major implementation has been coming on to way. What we are seeing as a major breakthrough brought about by ESL, acting as aggregator for 2 major utilities, Haryana and UP. And nearly, you can imagine, nearly 10 million meters are being installed, smart meters. And that too conforming to IS 16444, the smart meter standard. When we did these pilots, we didn't have the standards. But now we have the standards, and these 10 million meters would be conforming to IS 16444. Smart Grid projects and pilot situation as such. And then what are the learnings we have got from these pilots. And then, of course, the deployment issues we have gone through. And then what is the emerging scenario? I will try to catch up them within 7 minutes. Let me see that, how we can do that. Vision, that is a vision of a national smart grid mission, or the smart grid implementation, what we are thinking of that. We want a secure, adaptive, sustainable, and digital enabled ecosystem with the participation and with the active participation of all the stakeholders and for the benefit of all. I would be skipping that, smart grid perspective and all that. We all know that. This is the slide. I would like to focus a bit on that. This is the projected demand growth and what we are looking at the outlook. You can imagine we are nearly having an installed capacity of nearly, you can see that, and the growth is increasing day by day, and 2030, if I can see, 2030 nearly we are targeting 448 gigawatt, and you can see 24/7 affordable and clean power for all. That is the objective. And by adding on to this 1.5 crore, or you can say nearly 15 million consumers now through the Saubhagya, you can imagine what we are heading for. And now we have to sustain that flow. Electricity connections have been given. Now we have to have the 24/7, and that too affordable power. Mind you, this is the affordable power and reliable power and clean power, of course, because the RE we see we have given a target of that. And day before yesterday, we are having a workshop with the regulators and all that, and there the SECI, the Premier Implementation Agency, or the basic aggregator of the solar power, they assured that all projects are in pipeline. Nearly 130 rather you can say 130 gigawatt of projects are already awarded and rest are in the process. So we are going to meet that target by 2022 for sure. So that type of huge renewable power we will be having in our grid. And with that intermittency and all that, we have to secure and basically manage the grid. That is the challenge we are going to have. And of course, we have a lowest per capita consumption at the moment, but we are targeting nearly 2,000 kilowatt of per capita consumption by 2030. So we have to cater to that type of consumers also. Of course, EV penetration, we are targeting a big way as per COPA 21 and all the Paris Agreement and all that. We are targeting 30% of EV penetration in India by 2030. And of course, now India is one of the largest, the transmission grid. We have a one nation, one grid operating at one frequency. And we have to ensure the seamless power of such a huge propensity across different regions. And of course, with the RE coming into being, you can imagine the challenge, and of course, the solution lies in smart grid. National Smart Grid Mission, as I already told you, ISGTF, and we formulated ISGF also, but the ISGTF then, it was sort of an agency which will be taking further. And that NSGM was formed in 2015. We conceptualized, actual operations started in 2016, you can say. And we started sanctioning projects from the 2016 onwards. And we were looking after that smart grid pilots as well, implementation, supervising them, and as well as sanctioning of the NSGM projects. We also conceptualize the formulation that we have the NSGM PMU at the central level as the implementing agency arm of the NSGM. We state level, we conceptualize SLPMU, state level project management units. Now, nearly out of, you can say, 30 states, we are having 19 SLPMU on ground, which will be conceptualizing the smart grid projects and putting forward for implementation through the NSGM funding, or if they want to have their own in that course also. We had nearly 7 technical committee meetings, 3 empowered committee headed by the Secretary Power. Technical committee is being chaired by Chairman CA, along with the different stakeholders along with that on board. And of course, Governing Council headed by Minister of Power. And we already have a meeting in that regard. And a mandate has been clearly given that in next 3 years, there will be smart meters only. As already in the opening session, as you must have all heard, Secretary has rather endorsed that point of view. Smart meters, and that too, majority of them rather in prepaid mode. Conforming to, of course, IS 16444, because it will be done from remote configuration, whatever we wanted to do. We have our NSGM site in operation. You can have all the documents and all the what we have progress so far, what are the engagements we are doing, and what are the different sessions we are doing. That all information is available on board. These are the basically milestone, what we are, rather you can say the goals we are targeting under NSGM. As you can see, we have targeted certain actions up to 2020, because that is the immediate target, or basically up to that time we have certain mandate and certain fund. We are happy to share that we have nearly 1,000 crores at our disposal, and we have nearly exhausted all of them. We have sanctioned the projects. Of course, the progress of implementation and award was slow, but one has been already awarded in Chandigarh, others are in pipeline, and others are after us to get it implemented in due course. SLPM units, I've already told, we wanted to have it 100% in all the states, nearly more than 60% already on board. And then, of course, certain targets, like you see, AMI wanted to have at least in 10 utilities. And I'm happy to share, I think in last 1 month, we traveled 2 or 3 utilities. And not apart from NSGM funding, some utilities at their own are going ahead, like Indore. CSC is already gone ahead. Indore is already implementing smart meter. And of course, in pilots, I'll be sharing in due course, that has been implemented at a major PLC project with 45,000 meter as a unique project in India. And then we are having a target of all, basically AMI rolled in nearly all towns by 2025 and at least 25 by 2020. And hopefully we'll be able to meet that. Distribution automation we are also targeting by 2025. And these even microgrids we wanted to have 10 by 2020. At least certain projects are coming on the shore. Some are already doing that, but we wanted to have at least 1 to minimum capacity of 1 to megawatt in coming on board. And microgrid on grid as well as off grid. Then EV, of course, we wanted to have 10 basically utilities having that in by 2020. And of course, as 2030 target is already there, so we have to have that in all utilities by 2025 and 2030. We are providing. Were not there for regulation for the smart grid. That is a major prerequisite for that. And business as usual was going on. And where we stand now, we have now a standard. We have a companion standard for smart meters. We have IT solution and integration have been done with RAP, DRP. That was the major challenges. Billing is we are doing with the smart metering and all that. Now we have shown the communication successful, PLC, although a successful demonstration project, as I said, RFE, canopy and mesh bed, they're already there. Private utilities are also implementing and doing the billing and all that. Now we have GPRS, also a major case has been put forward through by ESL, nothing to say more on that. CAPEX and OPEX, both are coming out. And now model smart grid regulations are there, nearly 5-6 have adopted that regulation, more are coming forth. And then of course process redesign, chain management, that is the major thrust area now going ahead. And of course, now the data analytics and other things to go out, renewable integration, that is also a major challenge going ahead with that. These are the issues of deployment and all that. I will not go further in that. Emerging scenarios, 100% electrification already there. Growing AMI renewable energy, emerging role of DSO is coming up. And of course, separation of content and carriage. Microgrids, of course, that is the thrust area to give a reliable, sustainable power to all. And of proliferation of EV. These are the challenges in which we wanted to go further with the smart grid implementation. And NSGM is looking forward for the participation from all the stakeholders from India and across. And we are going ahead with that. Thank you. Thank you very much.